The presenting sponsor for OnEducation is Classcraft. We're excited to announce Classcraft's new story mode, which makes it easy for educators to harness the power of stories. Episodes 1 and 2 of Season 1 are ready for you and your students to play today, and it's completely free. To learn more about Classcraft and the new story mode, simply visit classcraft.com/oneducation.
If there's anything we get out of maybe some of these episodes is that we make people laugh for 5 minutes before they have to go back and, peel their kids off the walls. Friends, welcome to a special episode of OnEducation. We're going to call this OnEducation Presents #Thanks Rona. I'm determined to make that a thing. Glenn and I are going to mix it up here a bit since the rest of the world is kind of already mixed up. We're going to ship out a short episode as many days as we can while we're off because there's nothing more soothing than the voice of Glenn Irvin Esquire in your ears.
That sounds so disturbing.
Ain't that right, Glenn? Ain't that right?
I think that's what my wife says, but I actually don't think that's what she said. That was just something to say there.
So I'm determined to start calling it Rona.
I saw that on here.
You don't like that? You don't like Rona?
It's okay.
I hate calling it coronavirus.
Yeah.
Sounds so not cool.
Just call it the plague.
Call it the plague. Imminent. I don't know. The apocalypse. We call it the apocalypse.
I shouldn't laugh about that, but
no.
You got to either laugh or you got to cry. One of the two.
Listen, man.
Yeah.
I'm if there's anything we get out of maybe some of these episodes is that we make people laugh for 5 minutes before they have to go back and peel their kids off the walls or whatever else their kids are probably doing that they're not used to their kids doing because they're not used to their kids being home.
That is a big deal.
Yeah. It's a whole new world. I think that teachers are going to get a whole new, bit of recognition for dealing with kids constantly all day.
Very, very possible. I think so. I think that's what's happening right now already. And it's only been a little while.
It seems like Wednesday, man.
It seems like it's been a long time. But yeah, it hasn't been that long, since we've been,
So
crazy.
Did you go grocery shopping and stock up? Did you do any emergency shopping? I'm curious.
We tend to have a lot of things on hand. So we don't shop. I don't know. I was talking to my brother and he already knew that we had plenty of, for example, toilet paper or whatever it might be, as he's visited before, because when something is on sale, at Target or whatever it might be, and they sell, bulk loads of whatever it might be,
right?
We just buy it because those are the things that we know that
non-perishable stuff
we're going to need previous to all of this happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a lot of toilet paper. I probably shouldn't even say that out loud because that's probably gold at the moment.
It's one of the new currencies.
Yeah. So we did go shopping, obviously, and we did see the hysteria out there. And
crazy.
I hope that people are able to get the items that they need. The grocery stores here were not, especially in this specific town, were not sold out or not crazy.
Oh.
It was busier than it normally would have been, but it wasn't like the pictures that I've seen from a lot of people where, everything is empty or so
we
on
had
and so forth.
Whole empty giant rows of empty shelves in specific spots where you could see what they were buying. They were buying soup. They were buying flour. The flour was the one that astounded me. The flour's funny, actually, and I tweeted about this because people don't bake. Generally speaking.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hardly anyone bakes. So they're going to buy all this flour. I don't know what they're doing with it. They're, because they're sure as hell not going to make bread. In a couple weeks, they're going to, bite the bullet and go out to the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread because they're not making damn flour. Or they're not making bread.
Yeah.
They're going to realize, I don't know how to make bread and I don't really want to do anything to do it. So what am I supposed to do with all this flour I bought?
That's an interesting thing,
funny.
what people go out and buy. And then also the big change of, we heard some neighbors talking about having to feed their kids at lunch, even at breakfast, because our school serves both breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
And then having to go out and buy all of those items for them. And they're not used to doing that. And even dinners, where a lot of people go out to dinner quite often. A lot of the restaurants here are obviously shut down, and you can get delivery, but there's no, and any of the dining rooms are all closed. So it's a new, strange reality. It's eerie out there.
So weird.
But in a way, we walked yesterday with the kids, and I noticed a whole bunch more kids. And, we live where it's cold. So yesterday it might have been like 34, and that's a really nice temperature for us at this time of year. And we were outside going for a walk, and we noticed kids playing in their yards, like shooting baskets, where we never had seen kids before. Everybody. So it's kind of brought people outside in a way. So people are going to think the opposite. They're going to think everybody's hoarded up and they're on their devices, etc. I saw yesterday the opposite. Parents playing with their kids outside, throwing balls around in 30-some degree temperatures, because for us, that's warm.
Yeah.
And playing basketball, shooting hoops. We did the exact same thing. We were playing baseball, whatever. I was like, okay, there are some positives we can take. I mean, as much as you can, as far as doing those types of things. And I've noticed that parents are connecting with their kids, that they have to.
So that actually leads into what we think we might do for the next episodes while we're doing these short episodes. Is I thought we would share a feel good story we've come across on the internet, on the interwebs. Every episode, if we can find one. Hopefully we can. I mean, I have hopes for humanity in this coming apocalypse, that we'll still be able to treat each other nicely. And then some sort of a hot tip or idea or something we've come across that gives us something to do, something to think about, something to play around with, something to entertain our kids with. So I came across this article just today, speaking of restaurants being closed. And I'll tell you, man, I've thought this for a long time, but listen, Jose Andres is like one of the world's great people. I've believed this for a long time. He was on the first flight to Puerto Rico after the hurricanes and started feeding people like instantly, setting up, mobilizing, cooking himself. The guy is just like he's a beast.
It's a beast.
And so he has all these restaurants, and they're amazing, like fine dining restaurants, and boom, they've all been converted to soup kitchens for people to come and get food for free. So
it's amazing.
This guy, we just don't deserve people like this. He's a unbelievable person. We'll put the link to the article in the show notes, but I'll tell you, Jose Andres is the man, and this just reinforced it.
I think a lot of not only in our community, because I want to say it's specifically in our community, but I think this is happening throughout the entire country, where a lot of the restaurants know and understand that a lot of our kids, one of their stable meals of the day was lunch at school, and they are serving lunch for free for any kids, which is amazing. And it's got to be like costly, to do that, to be able to serve anybody that basically is under 18 can come and basically get a meal at lunch in all of these different restaurants that are specifically in our local communities. But I think it's happening throughout the entire country. I would say the other feel good moments are how schools are transitioning. I know you posed some questions as far as on Twitter about this, and some other people were concerned about this too, which rightly so. But a lot of people were really pushing it to the extreme, like we weren't going to address these issues, and schools step up to do these things. And this is the issue as far as kids being able to eat things. So these restaurants are stepping up. The schools basically have repurposed, in our school district and neighboring school districts have repurposed some of our employees and basically not turned them into food service and food delivery lunches to our students. which is amazing. Basically repurposing the buses, going and delivering the meals, and having those available for the kids. It's such a great idea. It's what we need to go ahead and be doing as far as addressing those issues, not only just the education, because a lot of people are talking about the education of our kids, but also making sure that they have food to eat. My other feel-good moment was I had the opportunity to host a webinar, and Schoology was, let's say, the host of it. You know, they were the ones running it, and then I just spoke. And what was amazing is there was 3,000 people signed up for the webinar, and then thousands more now have watched it at some point or another. And then hundreds of people, it's in the 300s now, have emailed me to make connections from all over the world. So people from New Zealand, I've talked to somebody, Europe, United States, of course, Canada, and so on, basically wanting to make connections and then, gather some resources to be able to share with their specific districts. And I think more than anything else, this is just proving how social media and media in general can actually be a super positive thing. The ability to be able to connect each other to each other, and then to be able to gather the resources and ideas to be able to put things into place. And I'm going to tell you right now, our school district, we were working this whole entire last weekend as our governor basically canceled schools for the next 2 weeks for us to prepare for the online transition, which, by the way, what a badass governor who used to be a teacher. He became the governor of Minnesota, Governor Walz. He understands that we needed time to make that transition. Many other states are already doing it right now. And that's just not fair to both educators and students to make that transition so quickly. When you're not trained, you don't understand the things. And so we've been busting butt as admin and instructional coaches and other personnel to be able to put the training together and then be able to support the teachers through this week and then next week so that they can actually make that transition. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be perfect, of course, but having 2 weeks of training rather than like 2 days, I think it's going to make a big difference. And I could see those kind of movements happening all throughout, as far as Twitter. So lots and lots of positive things there.
That's awesome. So, I've never experienced something like I experienced between Friday and Monday of this week. So as most people know that listen, I work for Participate now. And, so on Friday, there was a discussion Friday morning, basically, and it was how can we support, in particular, parents who don't have a clue what to do now. Like they're with their kids, they're working from home because they've been told to stay home, and now their kids aren't going to school. And how do you work and keep your kids kind of safe and occupied and gainfully occupied all at the same time? That was how can we help with this, or how can we talk about this, because I think that this is part of the conversation. Now, what's cool about Participate is that 75% of the staff are teachers. So we totally get it. We understand the nuance of kind of this conversation. So, between Friday morning and Saturday, we joked this morning, we did about 4 months of work in about 4 days to stand up a community. So we've built a learning at home community, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes. But this community has tons of guidance and advice and resources and websites and links to things that are happening live, like live streams, Facebook Lives, Instagram Live things that people are doing, authors that are reading books, artists that are doing tutorials on how to draw. Mo Willems, who is the famous children's author, the Elephant and Piggy books, is doing daily drawings online live that you can just like tune in to his Facebook page at a certain time.
Very cool.
And watch him. And so we have links to all of these things that we've collected, and now we're also, because the community has grown. It was 0 on Friday, and once we rolled it out, it's over 300 members now, and now we're crowdsourcing ideas and crowdsourcing things. So now we have this real community of people talking to each other, sharing ideas, sharing things and places to go and what to do, and also tips, because Participate has a very strong remote working culture as well. Like the office is in North Carolina. I live in Barrie, Ontario, and they didn't think twice about, having me work for them because of, this is a strong remote working culture. So we're pretty good at talking about how to work remotely and doing it effectively. So I'm going to share the link to the Participate Learning at Home community in the show notes, because I think it would be great for our listeners to head there, join the community, and start joining in that conversation, because I think it'd be helpful to you. And I think that a lot of our listeners are super smart and could be helpful to the other people that are joining the community as well.
Yes. I was trying to think of what's my hot tip for living and working online. I think that the biggest things that I've learned in this short period of time are that we have an opportunity actually to reconnect with our kids, and really be able to see some things that we maybe weren't able to see. I know I see all kinds of different memes and people posting stuff on Facebook being driven crazy by their kids or whatever it might be. And that is an aspect to it, because you're not used to that, obviously. And we like the separation between work and home. And that is a true thing of what a lot of us do. You're one of the few people that I know that actually do and have worked from home and are able to go ahead and manage that. But the biggest thing that I've learned is basically to appreciate all of those things that we tend to just kind of, blow by. So now there is no karate practice, no piano practice, no all of these different things that kind of structure our lives. Mm-hmm. So kind of restructuring those things to things that are fulfilling. For us, it's things like having our kids reading, having our kids doing the things that, drawing cartoons, writing things, baking, like you just talked about, getting into the kitchen and actually throwing some stuff together and making a mess.
Use that flour, people.
Yep. You make a mess and actually do something as far as community together, playing games together, as far as board games I'm talking about. Reconnecting basically with your family. Yeah. If anything, it should give us an opportunity to say, okay, we are blessed to not be ill at the moment. So as long as we aren't ill, we should go ahead and take advantage of those things. So for sure, next week, I'll think through as far as I'll haven't had another week. I'm still going into work here quite often, but I think this next week we're going to be less and less. And depending upon, obviously what the government say as far as how often you can actually go in. But it'll be interesting to see as the weeks go on and they turn into months and we're still under these types of orders. What does this turn into, and what do we get? What can we actually learn from all of this? And that's really what we should all be kind of looking at, is not the frustration of kind of how life has changed, because life has definitely been changed and upside down, and some of it is really devastating and sad. But some of it we can actually take some great opportunities to be able to reconnect with our families and our kids and really make that family unit strong again. And I think maybe that's going to be something that we, at the end, when we get through all of this, we may see on the other side, we're like, hey, we were better for it. And we've changed in a way. And now we enjoy these kind of activities together, those kinds of things.
Awesome. So friends, listen, we hope you stay safe. We hope you stay healthy. We hope you have fun with your families. Take advantage of the chance to, like Glenn just said, reconnect and do some things together. And you will be hearing from us a little bit more as the weeks go on. And we hope that helps you, with some ideas and tips and make you feel good a little bit just for a few minutes of your time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to OnEducation. My name is Glenn Irvin. My co-host is Mike Washburn. On Education is part of the On Podcast Media Network. You can listen to this show and many others by great educators like Monica Burns, Mike Matera, Tisha Richmond, and many more by visiting onpodcastmedia.com. Want to get in touch with us? Check out our website at oneducationpodcast.com. You can tweet us at oneducationpod. Mike is at Mr. Washburn on Twitter, and I can be found on Twitter at IrvSpanish. You can find us on Facebook by visiting facebook.com/oneducationpod. We're also on Instagram at oneducationpod. Want to support On Education? Visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/oneducation. There, you can get access to full videos of the podcast and so much more. If you're enjoying the show and think others would too, we would be thrilled if you shared it with them. Please leave us a rating or a review in Apple Podcasts or the Google Play Store. When you leave a rating, it gives our rankings a boost. It helps others discover the show. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, Classcraft, for supporting us. Check out classcraft.com/oneducation to learn more about them. Thanks as always for listening, stay awesome, and see you soon.